Hey guys, welcome back to another action figure review. We're back again with another wave of Mythic Legions. This release is from the in-stock store sale, where they sold a selection of a few convention exclusives and leftover stock. Today we're looking at the Legions Con exclusive figure, Wal-Torr the Mad. On the back of the box, we have the new Poxis art for that wave, and a short paragraph of the lore of Mythic Legions and the story so far. On the side we have a small picture of the figure, the name, and some background information on the character. And on the other side we usually have the icon of the faction the character belongs to, where here we have the custom logo of the Mythic Legions Cabal's Facebook group. Mythic Legions come in collector friendly packaging, making it easy to take apart the box, with accessories coming in its own tray and nothing to tear to get out. Although this arrow is nearly impossible to get out without cutting open the package. Wal-Torr the Mad is a tribute figure first seen at the Four Horsemen's convention Legions Con in 2023. One of the very first communities that formed during the creation of Mythic Legions was the Mythic Legions Cabal, a Facebook groups page with dedicated fans that post custom figures, news, and their collections. Walter Hagen created the community and had become friends with the Four Horsemen Studios, leading to Walter getting his own figure. This version is the retailer version, with the only difference being that the convention exclusive came with its own Mythic Legions Cabal t-shirt accessory. In the world of Mythic Legions, Wal-Torr the Mad was once a gardener who found a new purpose, by going on an unending quest to assemble warriors under the Cabal banner. Not even death could stop Walter, as once he passed, he reanimated as if nothing happened, and continued his tireless quest of uniting more warriors under the Cabal banner. Let's check out some of the details. The default head installed is the rarely used Scapular the Cryptbreaker's head. Detailed with the large skeletal grin, we have the eye, nose sockets, and mouth details highlighted with a dark black wash. A black cloth is wrapped around the neck and sides of the skull, with a black and silver helmet with bronze details worn on top. More details in the cloth can be seen on the side, sculpted with more wrinkles and a heavy layer of a grimy wash. Large sections of brown leather armor cover up the entire chest, detailed with a rough leather texture, black belt straps securing each section to the body, and a healthy wash of that light, dusty grime all over the armor. Similar to all Mythic Legions, we have large holes on the back, 2 for the shoulder armor accessories, and a large rectangle at the center to use with other larger accessories. While most of the sculpt is flat on the back, we still have that same level of detail on the texture of the leather, with the wash of that dusty grime all over the sculpt. Attached to the arms, we have the knight style section of armor seen on most skeletons. Large black and silver trimmed sections layer over each other connected by the silver rivet dots. Underneath we have a good look at the large cartoonish bones, detailed with scrapes, small holes, and a rough texture. Over at the wrist, we have a bronze plate protecting the forearms, with black straps securing it onto the leather gloves. The hands are completely covered in the brown leather gloves, with only small wrinkles and a heavy wash detailing the sculpt. Looking at the waist, we have a ton of belts strapped into this area. We have a new 3.0 style belt seen on the newer figures, detailed with a golden buckle, small black pouches, and multiple straps including one folding downward. A bit lower than that, we have the classic featureless 1.0 belt pre-installed, with only a small section to hold onto a weapon. Underneath all of those leather belts, we have a section of leather skirt armor, made of a large sections of brown leather, matching the chest armor, with bronze rivets dotted all over. Hanging below all that leather armor, we have a plate of black and silver trimmed armor matching the shoulders. A black cloth sculpted with a thick fiber texture, and waves hangs below. On the side we have a better look at all those black pouches, sculpted to have some weight to them, and a silver button at the center. We can see the splits of the leather armor skirt here, allowing the figure to articulate with much better. At the back of the figure we finish off the leather armor skirt, with all the straps wrapping around to the back, with that dusty wash bringing up some of the details. Removing the leg armor does give us a better look at the 1.0 style skeletal thighs. A classic Mythic Legion bone, detailed in a rough texture and small dents in the sculpt. Bronze sets of armor cover up the legs of the figure, and a heavy wash of grime staining the corners of the sculpt. Detailed with plates stacked over each other, and a large guard for the knee, we have a few straps on the side and silver rivets. We wrap up the details of the figure with the shoes. Brown leather shoes detailed with cracks in the texture, sections of the shoes, and even a black rubber heel and sole. A heavy wash of that dusty grime is applied here in a thick layer that dirties up the shoe. Let's check out the articulation. First up, we have a ball jointed neck that allows rotation all around, but the sculpt of the cloth will restrict vertical motion. The shoulders do open up all the way, with the little armor flap here bending out of the way. And we have full rotation here. Elbows that bend inward and rotate. More rotation at the forearms. Wrists that rotate and bend up and down. As a 1.0 style chest, we don't have rotation at the chest, but instead just a ball jointed waist. The skeletal thighs are a bit blocked by all of this sculpting here, but the slices in the armor do let us get some decent range in the legs. Although there is a limit before the belts get in the way, but overall we do have a bit of decent range. Since we have skeletal thighs, we don't have any rotation here. Knees that can bend back and rotate. An ankle that can rotate and bend up and down. And the foot that twists. As a 1.0 figure, Wal-Torr the Mad uses the bulkier size of the skeletons, and even has the same pre-installed head as Scapular the Cryptbreaker, rarely used in other skeletal figures. All 1.0 style figures are compatible with each other, meaning they all shared similar size between the styles. Next to a 2.0 skeleton, we can see that they are much smaller in both height and limbs, on top of making them incompatible with swapping parts between them. Next to Hasbro's 6-inch scale, Mythic Legions are just slightly taller than most figures in this scale, especially with their large bulky bodies and limbs. McFarlane's 7-inch scale is more in line with what Mythic Legions has to offer. While still being a bit larger, they still look good enough in this scale, but it's still something to consider when picking up Mythic Legions to mix up into your collection. We get an amazingly detailed alternate head with a working jaw. A smaller, more realistic skull compared to the default head, we have large eye sockets and nose sockets darkened by a black wash. A detailed gray and silver helmet is worn at the top, detailed with plates around the edges, dotted with silver and bronze rivets all the way to the top point. Looking at the side, we have a better look at the chainmail hanging from the helmet. Bronze sections of chainmails are painted with a bit of grime, and leather straps are hanging on top. The helmet has some more detailed texture here, with a bit of rust damage texture on the dome of the helmet. Installing the head is very simple. You can just pop off the original and then socket in the new head. We have a pair of shoulder armor, a simple plate of armor with a few rivets and scratches and a wash of grime all over. Installing them can be a bit tight, but it can be made easier by warming up the sockets in the back. They do rotate up and down for more shoulder articulation. We have an impressive fur cloak, made of real cloth and gets darker towards the bottom. Turning it around reveals a small hole to peg in the shoulder armor to attach to the figure. Just like how you would peg in the shoulder armor normally, it's the same process with the cloak attached. Unique to this figure, we have a leather messenger bag with a rubbery strap. It's detailed with silver markings, leather straps, and a large scroll at the bottom. Removing the head makes it much easier to install, and straps across the body easily where it fits perfectly between the arms. Another unique accessory is the drinking gourd with the Cabal logo on it. The top hook is made of a soft plastic, allowing you to hook it onto the belt of the figure. Pre-installed onto this figure is the leather neck guard. This small piece of armor attaches into the hidden socket under the neck. We have a classic Mythic Legions banner with the Cabal logo on it. The pose of the banner comes in 3 parts, attaching all of them to create a very large accessory. We have a Khopesh style sickle sword with a bronze handle and a stained silver blade. A copper elvish style longbow with a stretchy string. A steel and bronze quiver holding black arrows. And a very brittle black arrow with coppered colored feathers. A small silver and steel ritual dagger that unsheaths to show off the blade. And in its own little plastic bag, we have the back adapters for both 1.0 and 2.0 style wings. These adapters install into the square peg on the back, giving you 2 more sockets with 2 socket sizes depending on what adapter installed. If you're lucky enough to have any spare wings, you could use it to attach to the adapter, completing the look of the figure. An amazing figure with some unique accessories and a great skeletal base that really makes this an awesome tribute figure to the community that helped promote Mythic Legions. Using newer parts always breathes more life into the basic skeleton body. Mix and matching parts to create a unique look, Wal-Torr the Mad is really one of the more unique looking skeletons Mythic Legions have put out so far. Even if you're not part of the community, the Cabal logos are lore friendly enough to not stand out, and even look like they belong normally anyways. The sculpting and heavy wash of the figure really gives the story of the figure has been shambling around all over the world, getting dirty and grimy. It's a really nice effect to have all over the figure. The added fur cloth always gives these figures more of a premium feel, and 4 Horsemen Studios are getting really good at incorporating both plastic and cloth together with impressive results. With a ton of accessories to pose with, Wal-Torr the Mad provides great value displaying this figure, especially with the alternate head that's usually reserved for Scapular the Crypt Breaker, a more rare figure. Customizers and those who missed out should be on the lookout to pick this head up. With a unique messenger bag and drinking flask, I'm sure we'll see these items be reused in the future, but for now they really add character to this figure, making him stand out from all the other characters. A bow with arrow and quiver, a sword and dagger, on top of an alternate head really pushed the value of posing this figure. And the only difference between the retail version and the convention exclusive was that red shirt accessory, something that I personally wouldn't display this figure with anyways, but be on the lookout for that version if you really want it. I do have to say I am a huge fan of the skeletal figures of Mythic Legions, and this is one of the top skeletal figures 4 Horsemen Studios have released. With such a unique look, story, and nod towards the community, Wal-Torr the Mad is an excellent figure to pick up for old and new collectors, providing a ton of accessories to swap between your figures or just have more options to pose with. I really do feel like the more time passes, the more detailed and complex Mythic Legions get, with lots of added parts to make each character unique while still using a lot of the same base sculpts. The cloth fur really does push this figure just a little more, making it feel like a real quality figure. If you passed on this figure because you couldn't make it to the convention, or just didn't like the idea of a tribute figure, now is the chance to change your mind, as Wal-Torr the Mad is an excellent figure to add to any collection. Alright guys, that's it for this review. Leave a comment letting me know how you like this figure, subscribe or share this video with your friends to help out the channel.